There was an investigative piece published this week in The Athletic, which is owned by the New York Times, so it appeared there too. At least online it did. A long story about Lee Fitting, WWE's head of media and production. And he is the man who Nick Khan brought in to replace Kevin Dunn, who left the company in January, only weeks before the Janelle Grant sex trafficking lawsuit was filed against Vince McMahon and WWE. And he was not happy about Endeavor cutting costs, especially in production, and looking to streamline things on the production end, which had always been an area that he had control over. And the moment he lost that power, he headed for the exits. He could see the writing on the wall. There was only one master that he served, and now he was going to have to answer to all these new people and this big company coming in, and he didn't want to do it, so he decided to retire. And Nick Khan has hired a lot of people from the sports world, including Joe Tessitore, his most recent acquisition. And Lee Fitting had spent 27 years working for ESPN before being let go in August of 2023. And he oversaw production for tons of shows, Monday Night Football, College Game Day being the main one. And he was fired just 5 days before the kickoff of the college football season last year, which was very curious why they would fire the guy in charge of overseeing its college football coverage less than a week before kickoff, especially after almost 30 years there. You knew something bad must have happened. That doesn't just happen because, we're doing layoffs. Sorry, Lee. And at the time, it wasn't revealed why they got rid of him, but that didn't stop Nick Khan from hiring him and scooping him up and making him their new head of production. Then, only days after he was hired this year, it was The Athletic, again, that broke the story that dating back to at least 2010, ESPN had been using fake names on entries for sports Emmy Awards. And then taking the awards won by some of those imaginary employees, they would pull off the phony names and they would have them re-engrave with their real names, and then they would hand them out, completely unbeknownst to the talent that was getting the award. So imagine you're one of these reporters and you're getting an Emmy Award. And it's got your name on it, and you got the statue sitting on your mantle, and you're so proud. And you come to find out, again, these people had no knowledge of what was going on. You come to find out about this scam, and they had to give back the awards, over 30 of them. Lee Fitting was one of the people involved in that scam. And that's what it was. It was a scam. Now, I talked about it at the time that this all came out. The way it would work is with College Game Day, for example, the entry for Best Studio Show would list several different people who worked on that show, but these people didn't actually exist. Emmy rules say that you cannot double dip. What that means is you can't be eligible to win 2 awards for the same thing. They have to have separate categories for on-air talents on those shows. What they were doing were disguising the on-air talents with phony names. So not only could they be eligible for Emmys in their own categories, but in the category for the show itself. So for example, you have Lee Corso, right? If you're a College Game Day viewer or a college football fan, you know who Lee Corso is. They submitted the name Lee Clark. And then for Aaron Andrews, they used Eric Andrews, and so on and so forth. And the Emmy people eventually caught on to what they were doing, and they alerted ESPN, who admitted to what was going on. They got caught. And the belief is that Lee Fitting is now banned from future Emmy eligibility. So this was not only a huge black eye for ESPN, it was a black eye for WWE. Only days after they hired him is when this all broke. So it sounded like, okay, we found our reason why he was fired from ESPN. Until this latest story dropped from The Athletic, and we didn't even know the half of it. Turns out, he was fired after years of misconduct behind the scenes at ESPN, making sexually suggestive and inappropriate comments towards women. Comments that may seem like locker room talk, but no normal person would make these kinds of comments in a business setting, if for no other reason because they wouldn't want to lose their job. But he was the golden boy there. And it sounds like he was able to get away with it because of how high up on the food chain he was. And people didn't want to say anything about it for fear of losing their own jobs. Until someone finally filed a complaint with their HR department, which led to an internal investigation, and he was fired shortly thereafter. It says here, through a spokesperson, Fitting denied some of the allegations to The Athletic while not addressing others. He also declined to comment on the broader characterization of him as someone who mistreated women during his tenure at ESPN or why he was let go by the network. The outlet spoke to more than 20 women, 6 of which were spoken with as part of the HR investigation. Among the accusations addressed in the full story here, in 2012, some employees were watching the NCAA men's basketball tournament from a conference room when Fitting allegedly commented on a woman who was not present and did not work at ESPN and her ability to, quote, open her throat to down a beer, then joked that the woman would be good at oral sex. Fitting denies this ever happened. In a 2014 production meeting, no chairs were available for a woman on staff. Fitting patted his lap and said to her, "I've got a seat right here for you." According to one person in the room and another person who was told about the remark from someone who was present, Fitting denies this ever happened. One female ESPN employee said that Fitting sent her a text message around 2018 that read, "You look hot." She showed the text to a producer who recalled the woman's hand shaking as she showed the producer the message. On more than one occasion, he jokingly asked a female staffer for her hotel room number and also routinely joked about performing bed checks, according to College Game Day employees. Fitting has denied those allegations. He also allegedly bragged about his and his wife's robust sex life, according to multiple sources. When he saw a woman in an outfit that he liked, he would let her know, sometimes in ways women and other employees found crude and/or humiliating. He once loudly exclaimed, "God damn," when a woman appeared on set in a skirt that he liked. These types of comments were so frequent that one female College Game Day employee developed a strategy to blunt his behavior. Whenever he would say or do something inappropriate, she would open up a notebook and mimic writing something down. When Fitting would ask what she was doing, she would respond, "Just jotting this down for the book." One woman said that one day, when she and Fitting were working in different locations, he had seen her on an in-house feed and texted her that he liked her hair in a ponytail. She brushed off the comment, but he texted again, "Put your hair up in a ponytail." The woman replied that she had already been in hair and makeup for the day, to which she said that Fitting responded, "Put your hair up in a ponytail before I do it for you." Another woman said Fitting, in addition to commenting on her makeup and wardrobe, told her that she should refrain from laughing on air because he found her laugh annoying. Fitting's spokesperson said it was his job to provide feedback to male and female on-air talent regarding their appearance and on-air delivery. One ESPN employee said that around 2017, she asked Fitting if she can meet with him in New York to discuss work opportunities. She said that he then asked via text whether he should get a hotel room for the night, which she interpreted as him asking if he should get a room for the two of them. She decided to drop the matter and the meeting never happened. Fitting, via his spokesperson, said that the woman misinterpreted his question. He was asking if he should reserve a conference room at the hotel. The woman disclosed that interaction to a male executive at ESPN. However, she decided not to report the matter to HR and asked the male executive to keep her disclosure quiet. That executive has corroborated her account. "I was trying so hard to keep the job and get more opportunities," said the woman. "You get blackballed if you say anything. Are they going to keep me or leave Fitting?" And there are other examples they cite in the story, but you get the gist of it. Kendra Barkoff-Lamy, the spokesperson for Janelle Grant, who was the one who sued Vince McMahon, released the following statement about the story. "How can WWE claim they are committed to improving the company's culture and at the same time hire a man earlier this year who was accused of sexual misconduct and workplace harassment in his previous role? The allegations against Lee Fitting during his time at ESPN are extremely concerning. Revelations like this are why Janelle Grant's lawyers sent a letter to WWE and Endeavor, urging them to release all current and former employees from their NDAs. The same old boys club who enabled Janelle's abuse are continuing to put alleged predators in leadership roles, and this pattern must change once and for all." Boy, I'll bet they're having second thoughts about adding that man's name to the credits at the end of all their shows. Look, this is embarrassing for WWE because it means one of two things. Either they didn't do their due diligence before hiring this man, or they knew about this stuff and they just didn't care and they hired him anyway. Either way, it's not a good look. But to bring somebody like this in at a time when the chairman of the company was already in hot water for hush money payments and inappropriate sexual behavior, let alone 2 weeks after you hired this guy, that same chairman is hit with a sex trafficking lawsuit. To hire someone with this type of history is just beyond stupid. You know, her lawyers are talking about the company culture. Janelle Grant's lawyers talking about the company culture. This doesn't do WWE any favors. This is something a simple background check would have flagged. I mean, the fact that he spent 27 years there and right before the college football season, he gets fired from his job, that alone should have set off alarm bells for them. There's a reason why you list references on your resume when you apply for a job. Like, this company needs to double and triple check these people from now on with the history they have of slime balls and predators that have worked there. They got to work extra hard. You'd think they would be extra sensitive to that. But again, at best, they were negligent. At worst, they just didn't care. They didn't give a damn. You know, he had the ESPN pedigree. He was available. They needed a new head of production, and he checked all the boxes. And to his credit, look, he's done a great job of upgrading their production and making it more sports-like, and the drone shots and the long, uninterrupted shots that we sometimes get from the aisleway to the ring and around the ring. We get a lot less shaky cam and camera cuts than we used to get under Kevin Dunn. Like, I like what they've done with the show. But you can't claim to want to improve the culture in your company and at the same time continue to hire people that have almost 24 women speaking out about how creepy you are. Now, WWE has not responded to requests for comment on the story, and there's no indication of whether this type of behavior has continued this year during his time in WWE. You know, if they were serious about cleaning out the riffraff, they would get rid of this guy. But to get rid of him would be to admit that they didn't do their homework when they hired him in the first place. Nick Khan and Triple H, they both put their stamp of approval on this guy. They talked him up big time when they hired him. They come out of this looking just as terrible. This is $1 billion company that we're supposed to believe is outsourcing their background checks to a Google search. Like, is it really that hard to find somebody that isn't a piece of shit? Like, I know there are people out there who are probably very qualified to do that job. Very capable people that they could hire to do the same thing that he does, that don't bring the baggage and PR headaches that this guy does. I don't understand why that's so hard.